Assault feels a bit underwhelming in the base game, and I'm here to give some suggestions for Saber and Focus. But before we get into that, if you could like and subscribe, it would be heavily appreciated. Any support is welcome, but if you don't want to, that's alright. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. So I recently played every class in the game to prestige it, and I found Assault to be the most underwhelming, and honestly, it is quite garbage. I'm going to be completely real with you. And this is kind of sad to see, because he was the coolest class on launch, and I personally liked his fashion the most out of any other class. And it kind of confuses me, really, because in the promotional trailer for Siege Mode, he gets his own chapter skin. Okay, that's cool, but where's the buff? Okay, well, first of all, let me get to my first point. If you're gonna buff Assault, also buff the Thunder Hammer. The Thunder Hammer is currently the worst melee in the game right now due to its slowness. There's no other melee weapon that feels as underwhelming as the Thunder Hammer. It's got this slow wind up for like the build you need to do, because you always need to go balance, because it's literally the only good one. I can praise Saber for listening to feedback most of the time via the timer for Siege Mode, but Assault is annoying to prestige. His base kit sucks. It really sucks. It is quite awful. First of all, I want to give one recommendation for Saber. Please nerf the cooldown on the Assault pack. It is way too long. Okay, if it's gonna be that long, then at least make it do 1 million damage. The mission's already over before I get one jump pack off. And Assault is super bad against one faction, and you already know what I'm gonna talk about. It's Chaos. He is so bad against Chaos. I want to kill heretics with this guy, but I can't, because well, he's just not very viable. I don't really want to go on minimal because the rewards are like 10 coins. He's only good against one faction, yet all the other classes are really good at both factions. How does that make any sense? They really need to rework some stuff, and the first that would start is the Ascension perk. The Ascension perk has always been bad, and it feels like when I'm using it, I don't even have a perk at all because I don't even realize at this point. And he's due for some buffs, bro. This guy needs more than a 20% increase in his ground slam. That is just not enough, buddy. And as a fellow Assault main, I just really can't accept this. You've got Tactical over here, one-shotting stuff. You've got Heavy over here, also one-shotting stuff. You've got Vanguard healing his whole entire health bar in 2 kills. And then you've got Bulwark freaking also healing his whole health bar in one little Y button press. Yet you've got Assault over here. Think of one thing that's good about Assault's ability. Compared to every other ability, what utility do you see for it? When you got Bulwark's Banner, that's how you hold the line with Bulwark's Banner. When you got Iron Halo for Heavy, it's good for blocking range attacks. When you've got Vanguard over here, he can grapple to the enemies who are calling for reinforcements. He's good at closing distance against the ranged enemies on big maps. And on Sniper, it's pretty much just like a get out of jail free card for him. Tacticals is good as okay, this enemy is dangerous, let me one-shot it. That's what his ability is. And then when you see Assault, what do you think? The only one thing I can think of is Stun, and honestly it's a missed opportunity that they didn't use the mechanic from PvP and PvE campaign, where you hover in the air. Why is that not in the game? I really don't understand. That like there's so much stuff you could do with that. There's so much. You could hover over the enemies and shoot them. That would already be his strength. You would be invincible from warriors, from melee warriors. You would be invincible from them because they can't reach you. That is a great solution. Sure, it might break the game, like you could do some stupid glitch if you go in this one corner of the map, but all things considering, Assault really just needs kind of like a purpose right now, because his ability is not really used for anything good. It's mostly just jetpack dodges and ground slams, and you know, you find every other character to be like tied into like the game, and like there's a pro to having Bulwark on your team. You have someone who can instantly regenerate your armor, help you hold the line. If you have Vanguard, you can have someone who can give you a buff that literally heals you for 30% of your HP when you kill an extremist. For someone like Assault, there really is nothing, and most of his team perks are pretty bad too. They're not really anything noticeable, and only the best one is really just 30% more gun strike damage, and honestly that's not really good compared to the other team perks. You know, it really makes you wonder, is this the class that they just like made in the last month of development? And you know, I really just feel it for the people who play Assault, because you know, there's nothing really for you here. You know, you got the cosmetics, you've got that. I mean, that's it actually. You just got the cosmetics, and in the prestige perk update, they didn't really give you any respect, and I really find it weird how they gave him a champion skin but didn't really rework any of his like main problems. And I'm really just gonna come back to this. Personally, I think it's laziness at this point. You know, I'm gonna say it. They're just being lazy. I know everybody hates when you say they're just being lazy, and you should be happy with what you got, but sometimes you just have to criticize the game, and you're just not getting what you paid for. You paid probably over $100 on this game so far, and this is to fund the updates, yet the updates are like subpar and just bare bones in like total honesty here. And that kind of ties into Assault. He's just been left behind, you know, just like PvP, because sometimes you're not getting enough, okay? And this game made about like $160 million, like estimatedly. So I'm just kind of curious on why we haven't been getting like pretty good stuff, you know? Dark Tide is over here, and they've got quite like the time to prepare since they've had 2 years, but you know, after that they were still releasing good updates, and it's just kind of confusing for me, you know? Why do they get so many updates, yet when I go back to Space Marine 2, the update is just kind of bare bones. We just had like updates where like there's been updates where we just get one new pistol. This is not enough. We can all admit one new pistol is just not enough. 3 new operations, a new mode, and 2 new pistols in the game. That is what we got for year 1. That is not enough. Content-wise, that is not enough. Especially if you're going to support this game in the long run, which I don't think that's going to happen. I think this game is just going to get dropped when Space Marine 3, you know, gets announced. Honestly, I think it's going to get announced next year, and this game is just going to completely get dropped. And that's kind of sad because, you know, we've been paying for this game so we can get content updates, you know? So I'm gonna be real honest here, guys. I really hope they continue support for this game and make awesome updates like the siege mode, but they do need a buff Assault, and this has been a big problem, and I'm just not sure why he's not kind of fixed yet. Anyways, that's today's video, or more like this week's video.